Hello, dear viewer. Welcome to the very first episode of Watch Along and Lost with me, Iain Lee. It's the first one, and I make a mistake. You can watch the episode of Lost along with us. Here's the problem. I don't tell you exactly when to start, and that is my bad because I didn't know if we were going to do it this way. About 2 minutes into the watching of the episode Lost, that starts at around about 11 and a half minutes, I start telling you exactly the titles, the names of the actors that you can see appearing on screen. I know it's fiddly, but if you can sync your streaming service or your DVD to that, you will be able to watch along a Lost with Iain Lee. Or you can skip to the end where we talk about it and we take some phone calls. Thank you so much. Click like, click subscribe, and do leave a comment below. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lost Revisited with me, Iain Lee. A brand new streaming show, a brand new podcast. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you. Why don't you come and join us on twitch.tv/Iain Lee. This is where we are going to be watching it with an audience. I am coming live from the hatch. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm suddenly very, very excited, right? Turns out Lost started 16 years ago. Wow. And I'm really excited. I loved Lost. I did a few podcasts. I think I did the first ever official TV companion podcast, certainly in the UK. I think the Lost podcast for Channel 4, when it started, was the first ever official companion piece that was paid for by the channel and wasn't done. I mean, we were fans, but it wasn't done by fans. You know, it was as kind of like a hobby thing. It was a real thing. And I got the gig. I was working on a radio station called LBC. I got the gig through MySpace. A guy called Colin got in touch and said, "Hi, Iain, I hear you're a fan of Lost. Would you like to come and do a podcast for it?" And I thought, no, I wouldn't. But he then said, "There will be money. You will get paid." Suddenly I was interested. And I did. It was kind of, I guess, halfway through series 1. Can't quite remember. And I did a podcast and I was the host and we had guests. And I don't think Paul Terry or Geeky Tom, who would join me later as the co-hosts, I don't think they were involved in the original podcast. I think it was a mixture of experts and fans. I think that seems to be how I remember it going. And then, now, how long was Lost at Channel 4 for one season, or was it 2 seasons? Because I know that suddenly the Americans started asking like $1 million an episode, and it moved over to Sky, and that is where most people stopped watching it. And the audience figures in the UK weren't that great. I know that. But the podcast I did, it grew. We took on a guy called Paul Terry, who now works in the States and is an author and is a really nice guy, and a guy called Geeky Tom. And it went from a podcast to a vodcast. Most people, let's be honest, once the series went to Sky, most people were downloading BitTorrents to watch it. I didn't have Sky, and I would download BitTorrents. And so, yeah, I did this podcast, The Lost Initiative, that went on for years. And it turns out from that MySpace message, one of the best gigs I've ever had. Made really good friends with the team that made it, Colin and everybody else. Geeky Tom and Paul, lovely guys. And I got paid to watch my favourite TV show. I also got to fly first class to Hawaii twice, to the set of Lost. I also got to fly to LA for 20 hours I was in LA for 20 hours to interview the cast of Lost, and I sang a song to, I can't remember any of their names. This is why this is going to be exciting for me, right? Because I don't really remember much about it. I could never remember their names. So this is going to be a real learning curve, a memory stimulator for me. And I loved it until the last season. There are a few dodgy episodes on the way. Jack's tattoo, the poisonous spider thing. But the last season was... hey, Tasha2994. Welcome. This is a slightly different show today, but absolutely welcome. It's a real pleasure to see you. I hope you're safe. Will Nudge, this is one of the joys of, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're missing all of this. We've got the brilliant Tasha, who we raided last night. We've got Will Nudge asking, hey man, not to be rude, but what gender, sexuality are you? If you don't want to share, that's okay. I am a bisexual man. I identify as he, him, and him. And you're missing this if you're listening to the podcast. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, you can get this podcast early if you join patreon.com/Iain Lee. This will go on Patreon first, and then it will be released about 10 weeks after that. So welcome to everybody that's in the chat. So this is going to be the series 6 for me. I found it really disappointing, and the ending I just thought was awful. Such an anticlimax. But it was always going to be an anticlimax. I remember going to Hawaii and speaking to Ben, and I said, so what's the ending going to be? Knowing he wouldn't tell me. And he said, I guarantee you the ending will not be what you want it to be. And for me, he was right. I know some of you enjoyed the ending. Some of you loved it. I didn't. I'm wondering if 16 years later, I'll appreciate it more. If you've never seen Lost, welcome. There will be spoilers, because I'm hoping that by watching this again, we'll see things that were hinted at and throws forward. So there will be spoilers. We will be pointing things out. Bear that in mind as you listen and as you watch with us. So this podcast, this show, Lost Revisited with Iain Lee, coming live from the hatch. It's going to be a mixture of things. It's going to be watching episodes. And if you're listening to the podcast for obvious legal reasons, you won't be getting the whole 40-minute episode. You maybe get a couple of minutes of us listening to the episode and maybe me reacting to it. I can't play the whole thing. If you're on Twitch, we can watch the whole thing as part of Amazon Prime. So it's going to be reviews of the episodes. I'm really hoping that after we've watched the episode, the people that are watching live will phone in. I'm going to open the phone lines and phone in, and you can talk about what you've just seen, what your thoughts on it, your memories of Lost, anything. So I'm hoping that that takes off. And also, if you're listening to the podcast, you can call 0203 286 6370 and you can leave a message. 0203 286 6370. I'm being asked in the chat, are Paul, Terry and Geeky Tom, who I did the Lost Initiative podcast with, are they in? I've asked them. Tom said he'll do it if Paul does it. One episode. Tom says he'll do an episode if Paul does. Paul seems a little reluctant, and I understand why. He has a whole new life. He's written a brilliant book about the X-Files. He lives in America, and not everybody wants to go back to the island. Okay? So, let's see. I'm going to be really honest about the show. When I think bits are brilliant, I'm going to say they're brilliant. When I think bits are awful, I'm going to call them out as awful. I'm dreading Jack's tattoo episode. Oh, man. Turbo in the chat says, have you seen that fans have edited the show in chronological order? Yes, I have. But that, to me, they did the same thing with The Godfather 1 and 2, didn't they? They edited them in chronological order. I don't quite get the point, but well done. Well done to those people. I'm also hoping to get some guests. I'm going to reach out to some of the cast and crew of Lost and see if we can get them to come on the show and have a chat and talk about it. So some of these podcasts and live streams, it's going to be us watching the show, and some of them it won't be. It'll be guests, it'll be chit chat, it'll be your thoughts and things. So we're going to watch part 1 of the pilot episode now, and we're going to use a thing called a watch party on Twitch. So if you've got Amazon Prime, you get to see it. If you haven't got Amazon Prime, I think you just get to see me. But I've never done a Twitch watch party myself. So, and also we might watch some of the specials that I did for Sky. So, if you're sitting comfortably, I'm going to click Start a Watch Party. I've clicked it. Search for shows. Lost. They are lost on a magical island. Lost part 1 of 2 premiere. I'm really nervous. Right? I'm really nervous. I think I first heard about Lost. It was really, really hyped. I seem to remember the first time I heard about it was Sandy Togsvig talking to Jim Ella, I can't remember his name, on her show on LBC, and they were bigging it up as it was going to be something very special. And I was so excited by it. And it is the last show that I've been obsessed with. So let's see. Here we go. We're about to start the watch party now. Now I'm excited. Start watching. That only took 20 minutes to sort out. I'm pleased with that. There's the eye, the famous eye. Now we're going to see that eye later on in the series. Season 6, we're going to see that eye. You can hear me okay, all right? What an opening. What an opening. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, I've got goosebumps. He's the most miserable man in show business. Here comes Bouncer. Everyone went, oh, it's Bouncer. What an opening to a series. This is like, the Beatles' first LP. Just stunning. I haven't seen this in 16 years. 16 years ago, this premiered. Oh, I'm loving this. Thank you for watching this with me, guys. A little bottle of vodka in his pocket. A miniature. Has it aged well, Cypher? This is what we're going to find out. I mean, it looks... If you think in 1990 a show 16 years old would have been 1974, imagine how that would have looked. Or 1984 in the year 2000. This still looks current. This still looks current. The shoe hanging. They're giving us so much in the pilot. He's out on the beach. Nothing. Nothing. Oh, I've got goosebumps. Mayhem. Right, let's see if we can spot any faces that we know. A lot of people in this will mean nothing. Extras. And I'm going to be terrible with names, so you're going to have to help me with names. There's the Hobbit from Drive Shank. There's Jin. There's Walt's cowardly dad. There's that beautiful young woman. Can't remember her name. Where's Ian Somerhalder? We might even play the Lost game at some point. What an opening to a show. Oh, there's Locke. There's Locke. I saw John. I didn't get to interview John Locke, but I did walk past him as we came out of the toilet once. Oh, hello. Shannon. It looks incredible for a 16-year-old series. Ian Somerhalder. The sacrifice the island demanded. Whoa! Yes! We are in! The man who got sucked into the engine was Gary Troop. I think his stuff was part of the whole Hanso game. Oh, he was relevant, wasn't he? He was relevant, Gary Hanso. Hurley. He's a lovely man. I interviewed him. He was lovely. Did we see the smoke monster there? Did we see the smoke monster? I don't know. The sacrifice the island demanded. I think it was just smoke from the plane. Can't remember her name, but she's lovely. It's just relentless. Rose, thank you. Oh, Oceanic Flight 815. You should be able to watch it, Deke. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can watch it with us. The time travel element was awesome. We were some way off that. I don't think it is the smoke monster that we see. I think it's just smoke. If you're watching this as a companion piece on YouTube, just have the title. Jorge Garcia has come up. Maggie Grace has come up, just so that you can get in sync. Josh Holloway's name has just popped up. Malcolm David Kelly's name has just popped up, just so that you're in sync. That's green screen. That's terrible. Terrible green screen. He was supposed to die in this episode, wasn't he, Jack? Oh, he's got pens. Jack, Hurley and Rose were supposed to die. Boone, this is Boone. I must do a little YouTube sync for next time. Oh, putting the Dharma logo on the shark was a terrible, terrible mistake. So apparently they wanted to make Jack a big Hollywood name and kill him off unexpectedly to make sure you know nobody's safe. And they did that quite well, making sure nobody's safe for the first couple of seasons until they all got too big. And, you know, you're not going to kill it. Well, so you're not going to kill off Locke. They did, but they kind of didn't. And they did kill off some big stars of the show, but only because they were problematic in real life. Mr. Echo apparently was a nightmare to work with. And Michelle Thingybob got done for drunk driving on the island, didn't she? All filmed in Hawaii. I've been to this beach, by the way, guys. If this one is in Hawaii, I don't know. Maybe they filmed this in America. I'm not sure. He's so fit. Michelle Rodriguez. Hello, Evangeline Lilly. She's lovely. They're all lovely apart from him. They're all really, really lovely. It doesn't look like a 16-year-old TV series. We'll find some interviews with the producers that talk about the pressures they were under from the network to kind of string out the story. We'll also talk about the idea that they might want to reboot Lost. She was holding her wrist as she enters this scene. Well spotted, Turbo. She was holding her wrist as she entered this scene. Why? She was a prisoner. She was cuffed. Well done, Turbo. I've got to watch out for this stuff. I'm not watching properly. Sawyer. What's wrong with Sawyer's hair? If you spot anything that throws forward, let me know, because I'm terrible at this. He was a model, wasn't he? He was a model and he got the gig. Really nice guy. I thought she was doing a Karate Kid pose there. J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof. Locke. When I interviewed him, can't remember his name. Guy on the left. He just kept doing Alan Partridge impressions. Saeed. Just kept doing Alan Partridge impressions. Josh Holloway did go quiet. I think a lot of people from Lost struggled afterwards to get work. Evangeline Lilly's done quite well. Jack hasn't, because he was difficult to work with. A lot of people struggled. Josh Holloway I thought was great. This is an important story. Spaghetti. Her nerves were like spaghetti. Nerves were like spaghetti. This is why he's 16 years later. This is why he's on the island, because of that operation. That's why he's on the island. I wouldn't let the fear in at all. Evangeline Lilly was lovely, stunning, and really friendly, actually. I wasn't sure what she would be like, but she was delightful. They were all delightful. Fate being written on his hands. They were all delightful. Apart from Jack. They're brother and sister. They are brother and sister, aren't they? Step brother and sister. Uh-oh. That means anything goes. Who's been cancelled for COVID comments recently? Evangeline Lilly. What's Walt's dad called? And always the problem with having a kid in a series, particularly when it's a pilot and then it gets picked up and then, is they grow. Oh, Jin and, cannot remember her name. Michael is the dad. Coward. Coward. Son. Oh, so I sang to her when I interviewed her. They didn't use it, but I sang to her. I think I proposed to her as well. Did one of those. He's the police guard, isn't he? He's the guy that was taking her out, the prison guard, the sheriff, whatever he was. Here we go. The tail isn't there. It's on the other side of another part of the island. The marshal. Thank you. That's what he was, a marshal. Is this the smoke monster? No, probably not. And we know why the plane crashed, don't we? Desmond stopped inputting the numbers. That's why the plane crashed. Smoke monster. This is great. This was the turning point in the show where we all went, oh, right, there's something a little bit magical about this. There's something a little bit magical about this. Something spooky. Vincent, the dog. Green screen. The island security system. Oh, this is great. Where are we now? Now, I can't remember. Do we get flashbacks in the pilot? Oh, I remember her. She's in the tail section. She was in the tail section. Everyone on this plane is beautiful, right? Everyone on the plane is beautiful. This is just before the crash. There we go. He's in a boozer. Lovely boozer. Rose. He's off to do some heroin in the toilets. He's off to do heroin. Not sure yet, Pete. Not sure. Let's see. There's Locke. Look at that guy. Look at that guy with the bowl next to Locke. It's Ian Brown. Rose looks younger than I remember. From the John. This is because Desmond is not inputting the numbers. Oh, look at that. Desmond. It's great, isn't it, that a guy we haven't even met yet and won't meet until the end of this season is causing this. So we don't get full flashbacks, we just get slight ones onto the plane. I thought we met Desmond at the end of this season, don't we? Oh, it's the beginning of next season. You're right. You're right. Thank you. He's playing Mama Cass, isn't he? He's playing a Mama Cass record. You enjoying this, Boyley? Beginning of season 2 is great. Desmond playing a Mama Cass record in the hatch. He does that thing. That's the thing he does. What you watch, someone will say something and he'll go, if you're sure. So that's his acting style. Someone says something and he looks down, generally laughing, and goes, well, if you're sure, you watch. You watch. You're a terrible doctor. If you're sure. Does that a lot. Season 2 and season 4 were for me where it went magic. Here we go. This is great. Great shot. Yes. Locke is cast as this mysterious, freaky old man. Wonderful. It's not frozen orange, guys. This is before frozen oranges were invented. I want to do some heroin. It's cool. I want to do some heroin. I want to do some heroin. Look at that. That's Hawaii. That is beautiful. I think I've walked along that path they're walking along. I'm famous. I'm in the band Crookshank. Drive Shaft. You all, everybody. You all, everybody. Can't wait for the episode where we go to Brixton. We go to Brixton to see Drive Shaft, and there's some hobos around a fire. There's hobos in Brixton around a fire. Hello? Bouncer? A brazier, that was it. Some hobos around a brazier in Brixton. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Protecting his wife, his rich wife. Locke is loving it. What a character. I wanted a spin-off series where Locke and Desmond travelled through time solving crimes. Well, will this be uploaded so I can watch later? Yes, there will be a podcast of this. Well, maybe we'll talk in a minute, but is the podcast, do we include this commentary bit in the podcast so that people can listen at home, or do we cut that out? That's the question for you guys. I'm erring on cutting it out. But maybe we keep it in. Maybe, exactly, Catherine. Maybe we keep it in. Do we keep it in? Cut it out. Maybe we do it as a maybe it's separate. Maybe it's a separate podcast. I don't know. Catherine, what are you saying? Catherine, I'm going to time you out for just saying yes. Keep it in. Okay. Well, then we need to start this again then. Oh, this is great. The pilot. You watch the pilot. He's the guy. He's in Heroes, and he was a real favourite of J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams puts him in everything. He's in Star Wars. He's in Heroes. He's a really good actor. The Oceanic logo is very similar to the Dharma logo. And you're right, pilot episode. It's called Pilot, and it's about a pilot. This is post 9/11, so he should not be able to get in there. Oh, I'm loving this. I am loving this. I'm a killer. I've seen stuff. There's the pilot. They think he's dead. Lapidus. Lapidus is miles off. Forget Lapidus. Jeff Fahey. I could probably get Jeff on the show. I've interviewed him a few times. Oh, this is great. He's such a good doctor. He's going to tell them they're off course. Oh, the radio's out. I was offered a walk-on part in Lost, and I was going to do it, but then someone from the union complained, and I got pulled. I wasn't allowed to be in it. I had the costume and everything. I was going to be pushing a bike. Here we go. Watch this. Watch this. Here we go. Do we hear? Charlie's getting heroin. Charlie's off collecting heroin. You all, everybody. He's in the toilets. Here we go. Smoke monster alert, guys. Oh, look at this. This is great. Wrinkle. Goodbye. Ooh, made me jump. Oh, that made me jump. Oh, he's dead. How exciting. Here we go. Oh, I can't remember what happens here. Behind bars. She's behind bars. She's behind bars. She's behind bars. I got some of the imagery. Or maybe I'm making some of the imagery up. No, she's behind bars. That's imagery. She's behind bars. She's a prisoner. She's letting the fear in for 5 seconds, then sending it out. I think she's brilliant, Evangeline Lilly. I think she's brilliant. That was an American ad break there, guys. American ads. Rain stops. Just like that. Go back. We have to go back. We have to go back. That's a recurring theme. We have to go back to the island. We have to go back. Simona says, I was still going through my gay awakening when this started and was so confused why I like Kate so much. Well done. Well done. Juliet is the one for me, though. I don't see her for a while. I'm Charlie, by the way. Was is this? What is that? I can't remember what that is. Whose is that? The pilot? Oh, it's the pilot. No. Bits I remember for this, a few episodes in where they're walking back from the caves and he's in thought and she says, are you checking me out? Oh, that is grim. That is grim. Lost. We're done. Okay, so I'm being told. So a couple of things in the chat. That was supposed to be Jack, who was sucked up and was left brutally murdered, was it? Not the pilot. Okay. She shouted Jack as it's her return point from later back. Okay. Okay. Bad robot. We are done. Okay. Well, that was fun. That was fun. We're not going to watch the second episode now. We're going to do that at another time. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I think a good point has been made that, yes, I need to keep my commentary in the podcast. So I will go and re-edit the podcast. And what we'll do is we will start a press play now. And this is what we've got. I'll say what's on the screen for maybe the first 10, 15 seconds so that people can sync it up. I think that'll be part of the podcast. Now, if you want, and this is you know, is what I hope this will be, you can call in and chat about it. You can either Skype in on TLNA. We'll use the same things that we do for the week, or you can call 0203 286 6370. You may not want to call in. That is fine. But if you do, you can call in about that episode. You can call in about Lost in general. You can call in about TV shows that have captured your imagination. You can tell me what you thought of that. Phone number is 0203 286 6370. I'm putting up on the screen. You can Skype TLNA if you're around the world. And you can email latenightalternative@gmail.com. We use the same contact things because it just makes it easier than handing out new numbers. My thoughts? That's 16 years old, almost to the day, right? That looks amazing. That looks amazing. You go back to 2000. Something from 16 years before that would be 1984. Imagine, you know, watching, I don't know, bloody Knight Rider in 2000. It would look awful. That looks incredible. There were a couple of little green screeny bits that that didn't quite work. But that looked incredible. Partly because it's the pilot. And there is a part 2 of the pilot. And pilots, as you know, in American television, they'll spend shed loads of money on a pilot because they have a thing called pilot season, which we don't have, where these pilots get some of them don't even make it to TV. They get shown to executives. Some get shown on TV, and if they get good enough ratings, they get picked up as a series. So they throw everything at the pilot, and then by the time Noy is saying, I think it was the most expensive pilot in history. I think it was. And then obviously the series has a smaller budget, and with Lost it worked because the series was still great, but there were quite a few other series that were terrible as a result. I never watched Flash Forward, but again, the pilot for that was supposed to be incredible, and then the series was not great. There were loads of, if you do want to call, 0203 286 6370. And there were lots of, do you remember after Lost, when Lost became huge, and it was a phenomenon, right? Certainly the first couple of seasons, it was a phenomenon. There were a few shows that tried to be Lost. Flash Forward tried to be Lost, I think, a bit with the spooky element. But there were quite a few programs with an aeroplane crashing somewhere weird. What was the one? And I started watching it where an aeroplane, it was like Lost, but in a desert. Was it called The Happening or something? An aeroplane, The Event. And I think that only lasted a season. It was an airplane in the desert, and I watched a few. There were a couple of other shows, weren't there, as well? The heavy location work helped keep it contemporary. Yeah, all filmed on Hawaii. Fringe was good. I thought the last season of Fringe was awful, where they travelled in time. I thought that was terrible. And the ending of the penultimate season, where she gets shot and then gets brought back to life because that was disappointing. Alcatraz with Hurley in it had a time travel thing, only one season. Flash Forward, says Channel 19, was ABC trying to keep the Lost audience as Lost was ending. Danny says there was a show that I can't remember the name of, where a group of people woke up in a town, but they didn't know each other or how they got there. There was also Last Ship, Day 5, which is not a Lost riff-off, which unfortunately is not ending. It might come back as a comic, as a graphic novel, but it's not going to come back as a TV series. Flash Forward was awful. The thing about Flash Forward that I remember, I didn't watch it, was the bit where everyone passed out and the bikes fell over. The score of Lost by Giacchino was game-changing. Pete says, that was around when I stopped watching these shows as they came out, because loads of them did the Lost thing of layering on questions after questions and then got cancelled after one season. Leftovers is great. Is the Leftovers, not Abrams, Lindelof? It's Lindelof, isn't it? And I've done season 1 of that, and that is really good fun. Okay, look, I think we're going to end it there. Would appear that none of you want to call in. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I would really like this to kind of become a bit of a discussion show. But if you guys don't want it to become a discussion show, I'm happy to talk. I am really happy to talk. What I can say is I enjoyed that. There weren't as many throws forward as I was kind of hoping there would be, or as I was expecting there to be. Hey, Michael. I'm good, thank you. Hang on, I need to turn up the volume here because I turned that down. Hang on, desktop audio. Let's go to screen 1. Hey, Michael. I think we can hear you now.
Hey, that's amazing. Thank you.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. That was great.
When was the last time you watched that episode?
I want to say about 3-4 years ago.
Okay, so you've. How many times have you? Did you watch the whole season, the whole run of it then, or?
Yeah, I've done it 3 times in all. The second, I cried from beginning to end.
You cried?
I cried from beginning to end, and the third time I just fell in love with it and focused on the nuances and the meta stuff. And yeah, this time I'm just going to roll with it, and it's fun.
And you watched it when it originally came out?
Yes, I was a big fan. Yeah.
How? Okay, so this is number 4. Did you say this is number 4 for you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How does that compare to 1, 2, and 3 then?
Well, one was different because at the time there was the whole the augmented reality kind of game going on in the background as well, and it was the first time that a show had done that. And
This was
that
all the stuff online where there were like leaked. I remember there was one season where there were leaked videos of a young woman who'd managed to sneak into Dharma and was like posting videos and stuff. Now you go, yeah, whatever. But no one had ever done that. And wasn't there a season as well where they actually released stuff that hadn't been shown in the series or something?
Yeah. Well, there was a commercial during the program for like Hanzo Foundation,
Right.
and then you call the number, and then the number would be a voicemail, and then you'd get a voicemail, and then you would go somewhere else. There's actually a really good YouTube video of a guy that takes you through the whole rented, and he tells you kind of how amazing and intricate it was. And for 2000, that's really started in 2005 for the second season. When that happened, it was crazy, and on the forums, everyone was kind of like trying to piece it together, and it gave us something to do in between the seasons as well.
I've jotted that down because I want to. Maybe we'll do a show where we just look at all of that kind of stuff that went on in the background. I know. What was I going to say? Oh, I know they did a weird thing. I was lucky enough. I was filming. What was I filming? I was filming a show for Sky with Prince Harry and Prince William lookalikes in Las Vegas. And I was out there, I don't know what season that would have been, maybe 3, when they were showing an episode of Lost. And it was like really exciting. Remember, I was at the Cheesecake Factory and I said to the producers, I have to go because Lost is on. And it was the first and the only time I got to see an episode of Lost on American television as it went out. And it was really, really cool. But they were doing a weird thing in one season where they didn't show a new episode every week because they wanted to catch, I think, what they call the sweeps, which is where they log the number of viewers. You know, whereas here we have like a slightly made up system where you get the viewers the next day. They only do it sort of every 3rd or 4th week. So they would have a thing where they would show a new episode, and then for the next 2 or 3 weeks, they'd show a classic episode, and then they'd show a new episode. And it was a disaster. And the series kind of lost loads of figures because everyone went, well, this is a really dumb idea. It got very weird, didn't it?
3 and 4, I think they were arguing about trying to get an ending, and the studio was saying, well, this just goes on until we lose interest. And, you know, the producers were like, no, we want 6 seasons. Well, I mean, there was loads of debate back and forth, but in the end, they kind of said, we want 6, and they got 6. And I think that was really kind of the thing that pushed it. And during that time, I think season 4 would have been the writer's strike as well.
Right.
So you had that going on. And that was when, you know, you did get some ropey episodes.
But season 4 for me, and this is how I remember it, was a classic because that was the time travel.
It started the time. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah, that was where, you know, the Sawyer goes and Juliet go back to the 70s, and Desmond's jumping all over the place, and that for me was a classic. I don't remember there being many weak episodes in that, but I'm prepared to be proved wrong.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it was 3, 4. I can't remember specifically, but that was when the writer's strike happened. But yeah, 4 was when the time travel really kicks in and it gets all psychedelic and 70s.
I'm being told that season 5 was the 70s by Turbo. I get confused. I don't quite remember. I'm not going to argue with Michael though. This is the 4th time he's watching it, so I'm going to take.
No, I mean. Yeah, I'm going to be wrong about some things. One thing I won't be wrong, though, and you said earlier, the smoke monster doesn't appear in the pilot. I've sent you a GIF by email of smoke monster in the pilot. Because this was something that all us fans in 2004 were replaying in slow motion and trying to understand. And I wasn't sure if it came out on the pilot or whether it got added to the DVD.
Okay, I see what you've done. I see what you've got. Right, can I make this bigger? Okay, I don't know if I can make it bigger. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
I'm convinced.
Okay, but because they did...
It wasn't the monster. They said it was a smudge, but...
Okay, I'm going to show this. It's really... I can't make it... Maybe I can zoom in. Hang on, if I click this, can we zoom in? There we go. All right, but then it won't play. All right, we'll have a little look at this. Right, so this is what Michael has sent me. So this is the bit where the engine explodes. I'm going to have to make it smaller to make it move. But what you are looking at is that black thing there. Okay, that is what we are looking at. So I'm going to make it smaller, and it's going to move. There, you see it? You see the... Now, is that... well, people are getting very angry, Michael. Kapunk says that's not the monster, confirmed by the writers.
The writer said it's fudge.
But also the writers didn't have complete control over it. So the writers, I'm going to say something controversial. The writers are not necessarily in charge of the complete canon.
True.
But also that looks to me like someone's just whacked that in half. That's not a smudge. You don't get... What's a smudge? You don't get a smudge on TV. That, to me, looks like that was put in afterwards.
Well, it just lands at the moment when the turbine explodes exactly. So, I mean, it's just too coincidental for it to be... Yeah, but somebody's put it in. So, and it definitely is moving upon its own accord.
Remind me, there is a shark with a Dharma logo, isn't there?
Yeah,
that was stupid.
Much. It was in. I think it was that the Pearl. I can't remember the hatch under the bottom of the ocean.
That was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep mysteries going. You want to close some mysteries and open other mysteries. I think the tattoo episode was the real worst one, but I'll forget everything else. Yeah,
that was the lowest one. The one with when they tried to introduce those two people, with Paolo and Nikki.
I liked that episode. I loved it. It's like completely left field.
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice little story, and I thought the ending was great. But what I remember it being was a really cynical thing of, this series is going to be longer than we thought. We need to introduce new characters. So we're going to have Paolo and Nikki. My God, all I remember is her teeth. She had amazing teeth. So we're going to now going to start introducing new regulars. And everyone went, no, we don't want, we've got Mr. Echo. We'll take Mr. Echo. We don't want new regulars like this.
I think it was meta, and it was one of the first times we'd seen things kind of being self-referential in this kind of big, long, epic kind of big story kind of thing. And it was taking a kind of a parody of itself in one way. And then you got Miles later on looping back to it, saying there's two people under there holding millions of diamonds. And if I wanted money, I could go and get them if I wanted, but this isn't about money. Yeah. And kind of suddenly it's like some side of the storyline. But up until then, and you're watching the next, 3-4 seasons, not knowing what's happened to them or that they're there. And I get that they did it post and they wrote it in afterwards, but still, actually, when you think about it, I loved it. I think it was a real nuance.
I enjoyed that episode infinitely more than I was expecting. It brought a lot of the feelings back. I mean, so 16 years ago, my God, I was 31. I was a baby. And I remember getting to like season 3 and thinking, my God, well, what if I die and I never get to find out what the ending was? But I enjoyed that a whole lot more than I was expecting. It gave me goosebumps at several moments. There are a few kind of references, that when Kate comes around rubbing her wrists and, and stuff like that. I'm enjoying this. Michael, you are my official Lost correspondent on the Lost Revisited podcast. I hope you can handle the pressure of that, my friend. Namaste. All right, listen, we will speak again, Michael. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's how it works. You can call in if you want when we do these, and it will be different. I will come up with a time for watching episode 2 or watching part 2 of the pilot. I think the podcast will include the commentary, and I'll be more precise about how it's starting and stuff. I'll also upload these to YouTube. These are going to be released on Patreon first. So if you want to get these first, patreon.com/Iain Lee. If you want to download the podcast, I need to run some ads. And then 10 weeks later, the audio will be released for free. And this is part of a series of different podcasts I'm doing. I'm going to be recording some Man Up Snowflake podcasts about mental health. I've just been in touch with a couple of people, see if they can do that. Michael's loving it. I'm loving it. I hope you're enjoying this. This is going to take ages, by the way. But do send me emails with your theories, with your clips, with your comments, with any ideas. And if you want to call in, I would love to get as many voices on this as we can. Thank you so much for watching. I've had the time of my life today. And maybe we will do. I'll come up with a schedule. Because it's not really fair me saying, "Oh, we're gonna do this," and then it's not really fair me throwing things. So I will come up with a schedule. I would imagine. Let's commit to doing tomorrow 8:30, 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, and I will have a look in my diary, and we'll come up with a regular schedule of when we can do this, so that we have a set time that we can all arrange to meet and watch an episode and chat. I really enjoyed reading your comments in the chat, so thank you for those.